everyone. Welcome to LexTalk, World Talk Show presented by ClickAway Creators. Today, we have Mr. Daniel Ho with us. Daniel is an engineer turned lawyer in the Singapore office of Baker McKenzie, one of the world's largest law firms and named the world's leading law firm brand for the past 12 years. Between the roles of an engineer and a lawyer, he has more than a decade of experience in the construction and engineering industry. Daniel specializes in dispute resolution, project advisory, and contract drafting services for international construction, infrastructure, engineering, and energy projects all around the world, including Singapore, India, Korea, China, Indonesia, Cambodia, the Maldives, Bahrain, Vietnam, Taiwan, and many more. On the dispute resolution front, Daniel has appeared in international and domestic arbitrations administered by various arbitral institutions. I can go on and on when it comes to introducing Daniel, as he has the experience in the engineering sector and the legal space as well. But without any further ado, let me just introduce you to the man himself. Hello, Daniel. How are you?
Hi, thanks very much for having me, Vijay.
It's a pleasure to have you on board, and we're really excited to know about you and about your legal expertise, about the entire legal journey that you're on right now. So please enlighten us.
Right, before I go on, I'll just need to preface our discussion by saying that all my views expressed today are mine personally, and I in no way intended to represent the views of my firm or anyone else. But with that out of the way, my name is Daniel. I'm an international construction and engineering lawyer. I'm based in Singapore. In the office of Baker McKenzie. Now, prior to practicing law, as you have mentioned, I was a naval engineering officer with the Republic of Singapore Navy. And during my time there, I took charge of the retrofitting projects for naval vessels. So all things considered, between my roles as an engineer and now as an engineering lawyer, I've now spent more than a decade in this industry. So in terms of the work that I do, mainly three aspects. One, I help my clients draft and put together the suite of contracts and related documentation for their construction and engineering projects all over the world. And secondly, I partner with my clients' teams during the project to help them manage all things legal, for example, claims management or even general business law queries. And last but not least, I represent clients if they have disagreements with their contractual counterparties, if there are disputes that arise out of these projects. And the most common form of dispute resolution in my line of work is international arbitration, because most international construction and engineering contracts, they stipulate arbitration as the party's preferred mode to resolve their disputes. So the types of projects that I handle, typically high-value international projects across the world, like you have mentioned. I, for one, have had the pleasure to travel to India many times in the course of my work with clients based there. So for example, Delhi, Bangalore, Agra. So I do hope to have the chance to resume the travels now that the pandemic travel restrictions are slowly being lifted.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Daniel, also I was very much interested in knowing that from an engineer to a lawyer, how was the switch, and what made you do this, if I may ask?
Yeah, so I was basically doing the same thing. I was sitting on the other side of the fence. I was being an engineer, I was managing the project. And I was getting into disputes with counterparties and all that. So over time, I began to grow to like what I do. And that's why I transited fully into law so that I can continue doing what I love.
Well, there's a lot to learn from you that phase. I mean, I'm sure that there are a lot of people who think like that, but very few are able to execute it. And you did that. So congratulations on that. Now, Daniel, how would you rate the current legal system's drive towards encouraging the access to justice? And do you think is there like a tangible movement in closing like the justice gap that we have?
That's an interesting question, Vinny. When we talk about access to justice, one way to look at it is to ask ourselves this question: are people able to gain access to a lawyer whenever they need legal assistance? Right, and not just any lawyer, one that is well-trained, right, with the right kind of skill, experience, and expertise to help. For example, let's say if you have a problem with your eyes, you don't want to consult any gynecologist just because he or she is a doctor. You want to look for an eye doctor who's able to help you address your problem. And so is the case for lawyers and the respective legal expertise. So I've been doing this all my life, and I know for a fact that construction and engineering legal matters belong to a highly technical and specialized domain. And you need proper guidance and advice on such matters. And when we look at it, Vinay, that way, I believe more than anything, technology is the single driving factor that has helped to facilitate access to justice. Because of technology, today in the form of virtual meeting platforms like Zoom, Microsoft Teams meetings, WebEx, Google Meet. I'm able to share my construction and engineering law expertise with clients all around the world, right, at the click of a mouse button. It used to be the case that clients in some parts of the world may not have access to lawyers with such specialized knowledge and expertise within their own network in their own cities. But now all they need to do is Google, connect with specialized lawyers like myself online, jump on a Zoom call, and they will get the help and advice immediately. And to date, I've provided numerous advice and support to my clients for their construction and engineering projects via virtual calls. And I've also closed a number of deals and contracts purely over virtual calls. And that is really testament to how effective these platforms have become in facilitating my work.
Thank you so much for answering that question, Daniel. Now, when we are on that topic, talking about technology, talking about how things have gone virtual, now in this era of legal technology, if I may say so, what are the most commonly used tools for you?
Right. So we were talking about virtual meeting platforms earlier. As you correctly mentioned, there's Zoom, there's Microsoft Teams for clients to locate specialist lawyers and get legal advice and support wherever they are and whenever they require. So that is a major technological tool that I use in my practice. Now, when it comes to international arbitrations that I work on, I engage with the entire gamut of tools to facilitate my workflow. Now, in view of the limited time we have today, I'm just going to share maybe one or two that I use in my practice. Now, the first one I can think about is when it comes to pleadings. Right? When I was starting in my practice, I remember my seniors telling me, I need to create a table using Microsoft Word or Excel and then map out all of the paragraphs of the pleadings to make sure that all of the subject matters are covered. And then there'll be arches and arches of documents just to back up those pleadings. And then most of the time, after a while, everyone forgets which arch file goes to spot which part of a pleading. Right? So today I use an intelligent system that we have in-house that allows me to map out the pleadings in a very organized way and drag and drop the spotting documents against each of those paragraphs in the pleadings. I then open it up to the client and say, have a look at it and see whether you can add anything. And the client goes in, has a look, and they might say, hey, I got more substantiating documents that can help with this point and that point, and they can drag and drop the right documents into the right place in the system. Right? And when it's all done, at the click of a button, a draft statement of defense or draft statement of claim can be generated, and we just need to tidy up the minor details. Right? So this ensures we never ever miss out on anything substantive that needs to be addressed in the pleadings. So another tool that I can think about is when it comes to document management. So as you might know, construction and engineering projects, the contracts span volumes and volumes, normally at least 10 arch files or more. And then there are volumes and volumes of correspondence, letters, notices between the parties, and not to mention documentation like variation order instructions and timesheets and the like. So when it comes to construction and engineering arbitration, one very important factor that could decide if you win or lose the arbitration is how you manage these huge volume of documents and how you are able to present them in a systemic, cohesive, and persuasive manner, convince the tribunal of your case theory. So in my practice, therefore, I use an intelligent document management system that sorts these documents, automatically removes duplicity, assigns them to relevant parts of the case, and tells me if the documents are adverse or helpful to my clients. So again, my clients have access to the system, they log on, they check these documents, and they may say, hey, no, this particular email chain is incomplete. I have something else I can show you that can show the entire context of the conversation. And then we can enhance the robustness of our case.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Daniel. Now, we have actually been, I've been asking you interrelated questions, but this is kind of something which is very trending, and I would really like to know what's your opinion on this. So the pandemic saw courts moving towards, remote proceedings and availability. Do you think is this a sustainable and a possible way to increase the access to justice? Also, I mean, we never thought of it as I've mentioned it earlier, but now it's happening. So I'm sure that you must be missing out on something because now it's all virtual, but at the same time, there are a lot of perks of going virtual at the same time. So what are your views?
That's again a very good question, Vinny. So yes, I think this would likely be the way going forward. So we talked earlier about Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and all these alternative virtual meeting platforms. So clients all over the world now can have access to specialized needs-based legal advice from lawyers like myself with very specialized skill set and expertise, but who might be based somewhere across the world. So one other way to consider access to justice is to enable people to have their day in court or in arbitration. And virtual meeting platforms are certainly a great way to facilitate that. If litigation or arbitrations are conducted virtually, and people don't have to fly in from all over the world to attend the hearing, they can continue working on their various projects wherever they are and give evidence virtually through a virtual meeting platform. So increasingly, yes, courts and arbitral tribunals are recognizing this, and it's becoming common for virtual or hybrid hearings to be conducted. So I myself have been involved in many of such hearings, and my personal experience is, yes, these hearings can be conducted very smoothly indeed. Now, but one caveat, that being said, there are some instances we would still push for in-person attendance. And when and how we do that, of course, is a matter of acumen. And that again comes from experience and expertise. So in the case of construction and engineering arbitrations, there are some situations where we might recommend for clients to fly in and take a witness stand in person. For example, if there are complex factual issues, right, they are best explained in person, things like referring to large size drawings to the court or arbitral tribunal, or where we want the court or arbitral tribunal to see and ascertain the veracity and emotional aspects of the factual account. But yes, as a matter of general approach, virtual meeting platforms definitely make litigation or arbitration process much more cost effective.
Thank you so much for sharing your views on this. Absolutely, and we couldn't agree more. Sadly we are coming to an end of this amazing conversation and very enlightening conversation and views from your end. Daniel, time is obviously money in any profession, and in legal it's like most of all. How do you ensure to make the best of your time? I mean, as a lawyer, at the same time, my follow-up question to that is also that how do you manage your personal and professional life?
So I think for me, the objective of time management is that it must translate to cost savings for our clients, right? Because we charge by our time as lawyers. So it's fundamental that every single minute of our time paid for by our clients is efficient and effectively spent. So for me, that means I must trust my secretaries and juniors to carry out the more administrative aspects of the matter. It means on my own, I have to always keep an eye out for the latest developments in construction and engineering law, so that I already know the answers whenever the clients come to me and ask me questions, and no time is wasted. And it means also that I rely heavily on technology to make the work, to carry out the work in the most time efficient and cost effective manner. And so this is how I try and manage the cost and time aspect as a lawyer in my profession.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for sharing your views and for sharing such great insights on all the questions and on all the topics that we've discussed today. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I'm really looking forward to some more conversations like these on other trending topics in the legal space. At the same time, for our viewers, if you like this chat with Daniel, please like and share this video. And do not forget to subscribe to ClickAway Creators YouTube channel to appreciate what we do, and you have more coming from industry legal leaders like Daniel himself. This is Bharti for LexTalk signing off.